Alright, so I'm going to do a quick overview of Nick the Camel. This is to help you remember your polyatomic ion. The ones I've written down here in the corner are ones you're just going to have to memorize. So cyanide, ammonium acetate, and hydroxide. Remember, your acetate can also be written as CH3COO with the minus charge. It's the same thing, just different forms of it. So with Nick the Camel, all you have to remember is that, number one, the first letter of the capitalized words is the important one. In the case of the C's, you'll have to look at, after camel, for creamy and claim, you have to look at the first two letters, but otherwise you look at the first one as an identifier as to what element you start with. Consonants represent oxygens, and vowels represent negative charge. All of them are going to have a negative charge. The only one that's not a negative charge is ammonium. Alright, so with Nick, you starts with N, so that means you're going to have nitrogen. It's got 3 consonants, so you put 3 oxygens. Then it has 1 vowel, so it's a -1 charge, and that's nitrate. Camel starts with a C, so you put carbon out front. It's got 3 consonants and 2 vowels, so it's a -2 charge. Now also remember that -2 and 2- are the same thing. Okay, don't get confused with that, it's just a personal preference. For creamy, since we already had a C before, you look at the first two, and that's Cr, so chromium, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 consonants and 2 vowels. Moldy. Now, for M, there are 3 elements that start with M that we'll use. So in like the normal elements, not the man-made ones. So you have magnesium, molybdenum, and manganese. Molybdenum would be the obvious choice because we start with MO, but we don't have any polyatomic ions that you need to memorize dealing with molybdenum or manganese. I mean, not manganese, sorry, magnesium. Manganese, yes. So the M in moldy stands for manganese, okay? And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, that's an M in O4, and then 1 vowel, so it's minus. And this is permanganate, and we'll talk about why it's not manganate in a second. The per is important. But that's permanganate. The next one, Cl, is the beginning, so you got chlorine. It's got 3 consonants and 1 vowel, so it's -1. Supper, start with S, 4 consonants and 2 vowels. And then Phoenix would be phosphate. So you got 4 consonants and 3 vowels. Now, this is how you spell Phoenix, but it doesn't matter if you spell it wrong as long as you get both an E and an O in there, because we're just worried about counting them. So you have nitrate, carbonate, chromate, permanganate, chlorate, sulfate, and phosphate. Now, you'll notice this does not match the list of everything that you have to have memorized from the notes. The other ones, though, are derivative of these. So another key to remember is this has all the 8s in it. Nitrate, chromate, carbonate, chlorate, all that. They're the 8s. Well, to get the other ones, you kind of think of the 8s as like your base unit, sort of like we were doing metric conversions again. You have the meter, and then you'll add prefixes to change the size. Well, in this case, you're adding prefixes or suffixes to change the number of carbons. You will never change the charge, though. So, the 3 things you have to remember is that an "ite" ending means that you drop 1 oxygen from the 8. So if you want nitrite instead of nitrate, you would get NO2 with a -1 charge. The charge, once again, never changes. Then you would add a hypo prefix, and that would allow you to drop the 2nd oxygen. Now, you will never have hyponitrate. It's always going to be hyponitrite. So it's an add-on after you've already gone to the ite. So the hypo and ite are kind of a package deal. So hyponitrite would just be NO with a -1 charge. Now you're not really going to have to worry about that. The only one you have to memorize would be hypochlorite. Sorry, I already messed up my rules. Hypochlorite, and that would be ClO with a -1 charge. Now, the prefix per means that you add 1 oxygen. And that is a package deal with the eights. You can't put a per with an ite. So you're not going to have perchlorite. That's not going to happen. It's perchlorate, and perchlorate would be ClO4 with a -1 charge. So if you know everything that is on this page, you should be alright. Now, you're going to have to know the names, nitrate, carbonate, all that sort of stuff. But beyond that, if you just memorize these things, you should be pretty good to go. And if you already have these 4 memorized, I mean, you have a whole arsenal of polyatomic ions at your disposal. And you can watch my other video on how to use them in naming. So I hope that helps.